There's a massive celebration now in the southeastern part of Nigeria. Everybody is dancing, celebration agog in the southeast because Donald Trump have finally set up an 100-man committee for the inauguration of Biafra freedom. He said Biafra must finally stand, and the US Congress now, they've come out to accept, Biafra referendum. The 50 million referendum that was conducted by Simon Ekpa and the likes of Ngozi Arabrezi are finally be accepted by the US Congress, and this has triggered Trump to finally set up an 100-man committee for the inauguration of Biafra. What is your take as regards the celebration there in the southeast?
Tears, joy, long walk to freedom. After how many years of struggle, I want to say a big thank you to all the people who engaged in this struggle. If you can hear very clearly, you can see the news is everywhere. People are talking about it. After the U.S. Congress has actually approved, the referendum conducted. And over 50 million people participated in that referendum, which was officially submitted to the State Department of Justice under United States of America, where it was actually decided. After that event, we waited, everybody waited, and people were watching, trying to see what is going to come out of it at the end of the day. But that is definitely what it is currently now, that was revealed after a visitation by some of the people who are deeply involved in that struggle, who paid Nnamdi Kanu's visit to Sokoto prison. That visit, where you've just watched that video, was just not the man alone that was there. There were some delegates from the United States of America who also participated in that visit, and that mission was empowered by world leaders, even though it was agreed that Donald Trump should go ahead and set up a 100-man committee under the supervision and chairmanship of Nnamdi Kanu. That tells you clearly of what is going to happen at the end of the day, that they recognize Nnamdi Kanu as a powerful phenomenon in the Biafran struggle. Today, as the jubilation continues to spread all over the world, Biafra has come to the presence of what is supposed to be as expected after long years of struggle. The United States of America has finally set up a 100-man committee headed by Nnamdi Kanu to see to the inauguration and peaceful takeoff of Biafra at recognition. At recognition. Mark that word, at recognition. Let me just explain to you why the United States government actually went that extreme to say that very clearly, because when from now we are hearing that Nnamdi Kanu is going to receive an international intervention and be free to be part of what is going to happen any moment from now. Then let me just explain. Apart from the DOS and IPOB structure and hierarchy that has been participating in this struggle so far, the committee is being inaugurated or is being powered by the U.S. government under the support of some powerful nations around the world who have seen the potentiality of and the sovereignty and the possibility of aligning with Biafra, as an ally of these nations. Now, headed by the U.S. government, U.S. president himself, who set up that committee. That committee is going to see to the possible takeoff of Biafra, where nationalities of the Biafran nation will all be involved from over 40 provinces in Biafra. They're all invited to represent in that 100-man committee, where they are going to hand over the keys of the government. The security, the Ministry of Defense, the Ministry of every other thing that is required, to form government. These are the 100 people who are going to actually see about it. It tells you that a lot of things are coming up very clearly. Yes, this is not a matter of people talking about who is who that's involved the thing has gone beyond what DOS are talking about. Yes, so congratulations to them. Yes, for those who has participated in that struggle, those who defended Nnamdi Kanu, those who spoke about Nnamdi Kanu in one way or the other. It has come to a fruitful point now. Asurok is in tatters. Let me just put it that way. Over this revelation. This is not what you see normally on conventional media. To be reported, but a time will come. When it will be reported on conventional media. But this is an exclusive, leak, report that we.
Was that why Ngozi Orabeze was? A lot of people said she was boasting. She said that the likes of Oge Nkere, the led who was who is leading the BRG government, Masop, all these organizations that herself, Nnamdi Kanu and Simon Ekpa are the one leading the government. That Biafra is not a nation. She said anybody saying or any other thing aside this, that Biafra is not a country, the person must be on something on something special. Do you think that because of she knows from her own informer that Donald Trump is is openly now is has already declared Biafra, just like the Knesset, planning to sit again, or any moment from now to be sitting as regards Biafra freedom?
Yes, let me tell you, that's what we call Biafra government in exile, headed by the Prime Minister himself, de facto, Mazi, Simon Ekpa, who most of these delegation were carried out by Dr. Ngozi Orabeze, who seemed to be having overwhelming influence. Remember, that was a time Trump wrote to Dr. Ngozi Orabeze. That letter means a lot to the struggle at the end of the day. And if you look at the context of that letter, Donald Trump himself, that letter was officially signed by Donald Trump, where he said, everything pertaining to what you wrote to me has been taken note of, have been taken care of. That is the essence of that letter. But let me tell you, apart from this, this lady continue to push with other IPOB members who seem to have overwhelming influence within the Washington and Oval Office and the congressmen in the United States of America. They continue to talk about it. And remember, sometime ago, a few weeks ago, Ralimo also made a statement that the world is going to, the United States of America is going to shock the whole world, and these are the things that were being put in place on the table as at that time. But what the revelation why these delegates that were not officially reported visited Nnamdi Kanu from United States of America, a selected few of American influencers and lobbyists who visited Nnamdi Kanu in Sokoto prison just a few days ago from now, where that thing actually came out. But then, according to our revelation and investigation, it was discovered that it was coming directly from the Oval Office, Washington, where they said the reason why they need these 100 men to be inaugurated because they are the one that we are going to be handed over the instrument of Biafran takeoff as a nation on recognition. That means, they have already set up a proper plan. They have already set up a structure. They have already set up an agenda. I will keep giving you this brief that at the recognition, then this 100 men will see to, the setup of government houses, setup of government structures, a setup of agencies, aligning with the requirement and the constitutional requirement of a proper takeoff as a nation. And that is what the essence of this 100-men committee, that is the reason why they said, okay, Nnamdi Kanu is the one who is going to head this 100-man committee. Whether he's outside or not, the United government have recognized him, as the official, an authentic, leader of the Biafran struggle. And that is why Trump insisted that Nnamdi Kanu will be the one who is going to head that 100-men committee. Let me just tell you, 100-men committee you are talking about today comprises of both nationals of different nations, and of course, making up of over 50% of Biafrans, from cabinet selected from all over the world, both within and outside, including international organizations, who are going to be part of that program. Remember, in my previous video, I also tell you that Biafra is going to have one of the smoothest takeoff as a nation, with trillions of dollars as aid, to power the official takeoff and smooth takeoff of that coming nation that will soon be recognized. Let me just tell you, Biafra has been in existence and was officially, redeclared in Finland under Simon Ekpa, and was recognized by the State Department of Justice, United States of America. And ever since that was done, what it means is that there's a government that's already in place. Has become a nation that's already in place. It is what is remaining now is that there's need for people, there's need for nations to see from that angle that it has been, taking off. It has been a country in existence. What is waiting is that how many nations are officially going to recognize it as a nation. So it is already in place. Please understand that. All the documents you saw the other day, we are in Hague, where the Netherlands, we submitted different documents, in Hague. With over 100 organizations, in the Netherlands, where the houses major powerful organizations around the world. They have all their documents in regards to that, and some of those documents take care of our, airspace, territorial presence, international dispute, conflict resolutions, a lot of things. We are also being tagged there. All these documents are what is needed for a smooth takeoff. Now, upon completion and recognition, and signing of bilateral and agreement in that and treaties in that regard, then the U.S. government now ordered that the 100-man committee be set up, and that is what the essence of that 100-man committee. It's a big one. It's a large one. I think it's one of the largest committee to be set up for any country that actually wants the world to see they are well positioned for a proper takeoff as the newest nation in the world.
But what do you think? The other day we saw Shegumi saying the president should not allow the likes of Israel, US to intrude on the sovereignty of Nigeria. But with that being said, now just recently we saw Sultan of Sokoto running to Aso Rock to Tinubu that he should release El-Rufai, which is, we know that is his Fulani brother. But this man has never come out to speak on behalf of Nnamdi Kanu. A lot of people are saying the Sultan of Sokoto can't use his influence since we are one. He said we are one in this country. He's always talking about unity. Nigeria cannot break. My oil cannot just go just like that. That the sovereignty of Nigeria cannot be, or Nigeria cannot be divided. Why is this man always scared of Nnamdi Kanu? What do you think will be going through the Sultan of Sokoto, and at the same time Shegumi, the likes of Malami and the rest? What do you think will be going through their mind as regards what Trump is about to do, setting up this committee for Biafra inauguration?
Nigeria's sovereignty has already been lost. You can see the kind of insecurity we are witnessing all over the world now. And according to Ranimo report, the northern political powers, including the Sultan of Sokoto, has refused. The northerners generally have refused to accord or be bonded or agree to the agreement of that report, where they should jettison anything that has to do with Sharia, anything that has to do with caliphate should be totally abolished. And since they have refused to take that direction, and we saw recently the position of Gumi in that regard, and we saw also the position of the Sultan of Sokoto, and you can see the kind of secret meeting they have been going on between him and the president of Nigeria recently, where he was seen in Aso Rock meeting with Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We don't know the essence or the mission of that thing. What I can tell you is it's in continuation. What do we do? They keep on asking themselves. Bola Ahmed Tinubu will ask the Sultan of Sokoto, what do we do? Sultan of Sokoto will ask him, what do we do? The position of Mazin Nnamdi Kanu, and of course the reality that is staring them on the face, that the possibility of foreign power stepping in to break Nigeria, to separate Nigeria as a result of what is actually going on is a question that both of them cannot answer. And nobody can, I don't think they want to stand up to challenge the reality on ground, which most of Nigerians agreed that Nigeria is not working. That after all, the UK, who happens to be the colonial, the British kingdom, who happens to be one of the colonial masters of Nigeria, have given, there was a clause, you know, that after 100 years, if this thing is not comfortable for anybody, you can go your separate ways. Why are they insisting on unity, of the unity that is bringing insecurity, the unity? How can one be dying just because, how can people be dying just because they want to be one Nigeria, and on that process too they are dying? So these things are the factors that have been you know, looked into deeply by world leaders and those who are also on the know of what is actually going on in Nigeria, and they are insisting, say, since you cannot abide by these rules, okay, it is time for us to act, and they are, and that is a clear act, you know. So these things are taking gradual steps from one step to another. We saw it very clearly, the decision of the Israeli Parliament on Biafra. You know, I thank God there was a resolution on that, and this document of that resolution have officially been submitted to the Prime Minister himself of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, to act in that regard. And secondly, you know, the issue that has to do with the position of the United States of America and conditions attached for continued unity. And unfortunately, that will not happen as a result of the Northerners are claiming they cannot abide by their rules because they are simply a caliphate. And that is why you see very clearly now the US government came up and said, okay, thank God, we're going to take this in as a come gradually. And that is a reason why that committee was just set up. That committee is not made up of Biafrans alone. You know, there are international organizations, there are nationalities from all over the world who are part of that committee, who are of the note how these things will be set up officially, you know, without creating a kind of chaos or whatever, for a smooth takeoff of the Biafran government officially, with all the territorial waters and security now inaugurated and intact. Whoever is going to be heading each of these departments is part of that, you know, committee. It didn't come as a surprise. It comes as a result of that struggle of years of long walk to freedom.